Oh, well, I guess I can start. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see your faces. I'm just going to call to order the meeting, our June meeting of the Arlington Commission for the Arts and the Public Art Committee. As I said, it's wonderful to see all of you. I hope that you've been surviving okay, that you're all well and safe and healthy. I think we're eager to be able to resume our regular meetings, even though we don't quite know when that will be. I want to give a special welcome to our newest Arts Commissioner, Lynn Coates. And Lynn, we can't wait to welcome you in person at one of our future meetings. So we're going to get started with some logistical remarks made by Sharon, our liaison, Sharon Raphael, our liaison with CAD. And I think so for the record wants to take the roll. We do have a quorum, but Sharon, say what you want to say. Then we're going to move to the Public Art Committee, which also has to address a time-sensitive issue. And then we will resume our formal Arts Commission meeting. None of you has to leave while the Public Art Committee is meeting, and that committee session will be chaired by our Arts Commissioner, Carl Bedell. And Carl and Susanna Hayworth-Dunn are our two commissioners on the Public Arts Committee. Sharon?
Sharon, before you started, just Marcia, you said CAD for the record. CAD is Cultural Affairs Division of AED. Thank you. Go ahead, Sharon.
Which is Economic Development, Arlington Economic Development. Yes, thanks for that, Michelle. Sharon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just a few quick logistics for our newer commission members. When the Public Art Committee takes a vote, you do not vote in that. It is only for the two Arts Commission members and the rest of the Public Art Committee. The only thing you'll be voting on today in today's session will be the Cultural Affairs, the Commission grants. I'm going to start with a roll call, so you will have to unmute yourself. So if you can maybe start that process now, knowing where you are in the alphabet, that would be great. But I am going to start with Chair Marcia Semmel.
Here.
Vice Chair Anika Quinana. I can see you, but I need a here.
Here.
Thank you. Terry Bowman. Carl Bedell.
Here.
David Carlson.
Here.
Lynn Coates.
Here.
Ann Curley.
Here.
Susanna Hayworth-Dunn.
Saw her check-in.
She's here, though, right?
I saw her check in. I think she might have been the second person.
Okay.
So.
I'm looking at her.
Oh, okay.
I can't see her. So.
I can't either.
Okay. But you see her. All right. Robert Gyron.
Here.
Jordan Lewis.
Here.
Chris McConnell.
Here.
Felicia McPhail.
Here.
Sarah Robinson. Carlos Velasquez.
Here.
Okay. I am now going to turn it over to Elizabeth in Public Art to take her role for the Public Art Committee, and then she will turn it over to Carl. I'm going to mute.
If everyone on the Public Art Committee could unmute, please. Cameron Aru.
Here.
Carl Bedell.
Here.
Susanna Hayworth-Dunn. We think she's here, as we said. John Hensley, and we actually know John is not present. Cassie Hurley.
Here.
Great, thanks so much. And I will turn it over to Carl Bedell.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Do we have quorum?
Sorry, yes, we do.
Okay, and just to note, Susanna's name is marked with a guest. I'm not sure if that's preventing her from speaking or not. Let's move on with our agenda items. Angela Adams is going to do a quick presentation on the PAC responsibilities today. Angela?
Hi, thank you. Hopefully everyone can see a slide. We have a set of a deck of slides. It starts with our introductory slide for the public art program, and then we're going to move to an organizational chart. And the reason we're doing this is because we don't come to the Arts Commission very often. Carl, of course, is our monthly.
All right, Angela, sorry to interrupt. Can you just hold on a second while I get our slides up? It is, for some reason, not cooperating, even though it was earlier when we did a test run.
I think I'm going to talk anyway, if that's okay.
Sharon, are you there? Can you, do you actually have the presentation that I sent you earlier?
Yep, let me open that up.
It's not letting me share the screen, and I think it might be because
Hold on, I'll make you a presenter.
Okay.
And Angela, this is Marcia. I just want to confirm you've got 30 minutes, right?
You do, yes. Thank you, Marcia. So I just wanted to say that we don't come often to the Arts Commission. Carl, of course, is there and gives a monthly report, as also as part of Michelle's director's notes. But we do have business today for the Public Art Committee, and we appreciate your making time for this. And by way of an introduction, we wanted to talk a little bit about the mechanics of how the Public Art Committee functions vis-a-vis both public art staff and the Arts Commission. When we do see the slide, you'll see they have a unique role. They are a group of 5 to 7 individuals, 2 of whom come from the Arts Commission, and 3 to 5 of whom are citizen representatives who come from the various fields that we rely upon to make public art happen. So it's a largely professional group. I should say it's exclusively a professional group, and they help us do our work in various ways. They uniquely advise staff in certain capacities as it relates to the development of our guidelines, our annual projects plan, deaccessioned works, gifts that we are looking to accept to the collection. They help advise on project scope, budget, selection process, and panel member appointments when we get together a panel to review a project. They advise on artist selection and final concept work of art acceptance, and that's why we're here today. They met in January and accepted the artist that was presented by the developer Southeastern for a project in Ballston. This is a project at the site of the current Harris Teeter in Ballston. So that developer, as part of their site plan condition, agreed to provide public art on site. This is a program that goes back to the mid-'70s in Arlington, so we've been directing developer contributions on site for public art for many decades. And so our program has now been formalized, and we have a process where we ask the developer to present the artist and then the artist's concept. So we were going to see this, the Public Art Committee, at the May meeting. That, of course, did not happen because of the virus. So we are here today. And the reason to do this is to afford the developer the opportunity not to have to go to the board in July to seek an administrative change for their site plan to basically push forward the deliverable of the public art. So there's a process they have to follow that's codified in their site plan condition. So they're trying to avoid having to shift that, having to seek permission from the board. So that's why we're meeting here today. The other thing I'll just say is that the guidelines we rely upon were approved by the county manager first in 2005 and updated in 2015. And it speaks to the specifics of when this action is taken by the Public Art Committee versus the Arts Commission. Succinctly, we come to the Arts Commission after we go to the Public Art Committee when the project is valued at over $250,000. And there is a project in the works that you should be seeing shortly, the next several months. Finally, I'm not sure if the slides are up, but we always review projects that we're going to see today, the Public Art Committee, based on 4 primary criteria, and they are quality or originality, suitability for the location and for Arlington, durability, safety, and public liability. So those are the general criteria that you'll see the Public Art Committee discussing today. And so with that, my portion's done, Carl.
Sharon, were you able to find the presentation?
Yes, I have it. I'm working on it, getting it up right now.
Thank you so much.
I would skip it at this point.
Yeah, I think Angela covered everything on the presentation.
So it's actually a combined document. So Sharon, if you just pull up the PDF document, it has both presentations in one document. Okay. And you can skip forward to the Glebe Road part of the presentation.
Do you know what page that is? Oh, project site 600 North Glebe Road?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And once that comes up, if Mary is on the line, she can take over with the presentation from the developer.
Great. Just let me close this out. Share my screen. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. We had this all practiced before.
I just want to say you guys are doing a great job. Keep going. All right. Success.
Okay, just tell me. I'll continue to scroll.
All right. Well, thank you. My name is Mary Sin. I'm with Southeastern Development. We are developing this project jointly with Harris Teeter. As you can see, the site sits at Randolph Street and North Glebe. Currently on site is a Harris Teeter and then a Mercedes used car and service center. If you want to go to the next slide, that shows it better. There you go. And then we've also got a little parcel at the back on Thomas Street, which will provide a connection via a public park to the surrounding neighborhoods as well. Okay, next slide. So to start off, I just wanted to familiarize everyone with the project. This project will be done in 3 phases. So the first, and it's done as the buildings are numbered as well. So the first phase is on Glebe Road where the Mercedes currently sits. And it will be 310 apartments over a brand new flagship Harris Teeter store. And then there's below grade parking as well. Tazewell will be a public road that's extended. And then we'll go to phase 2, which is building 2 shown at the bottom in that public park. Building 2 is additional apartments, 197 apartments. And then there's also some parking with that one as well. And then building 3, which is phase 3 at the top where the current Harris Teeter sits, will be 226 apartments over Glebe fronting retail and then additional parking as well. The entire project is phased so that Harris Teeter can remain open on site at all times. So, you know, building 1 will come first and that will have the brand new Harris Teeter store. So once they move in, they'll shut down their old store. You want to go to the next slide. So I feel like that's important to mention because that did sort of help us find out where we wanted to put the art, which is shown here. It's obviously in a prominent location. We wanted to make sure it was very visible, pedestrians as well as cars coming by. It certainly brings interest to the project, and it's something that we're very proud of and want to show off. This is a very prominent location, as you'll see on the next slide, but you don't have to go there yet. And this just kind of shows you, we also had to work within the Harris Teeter fixture plan to determine a location that was good because we do have some glazing requirements on Glebe as well. But I think the location that we came up with is very beneficial to the project. Next slide. So this is an elevation. it shows the extent of the art on Glebe Road. And, we didn't put the art in there, but it's where the 2 arrows are. So those, we were able to extend it. I think we originally showed it only in one of those locations. We're actually able to extend it to a second location as well to provide some kind of continuity through the building. Next slide. So with that, I'll turn it over to Meredith.
Hi, everybody. This is Meredith Mckinley. I got a chance to meet many of you on the Public Art Committee back in January when we presented our artist selection for this project. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes. Well, first, I wanted to thank you all and thank everybody on the Arts Commission, especially for getting us on the agenda today. We really appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to turning things over to Lake to present his concept. Just as a reminder, whenever we start a public art project, we develop our own, establish our own goals for the project. These are the goals that we used to evaluate Lake's proposal for the project. So activating the facade, using color to create visual interest along the facade while respecting, of course, the architectural character of the wall, maintaining the visual continuity with the exterior of the building. We really wanted something that worked both in day and night, and you'll see that in Lake's concept that maybe took on a sort of a different character at different times of day. And then, of course, the maintenance, which is also part of the criteria of the Public Art Committee. And then, Angela, next slide, please. Sorry, I'm trying to forward the slides myself. That's not going to work, is it? So again, Angela reviewed the schedule, but here we are. So we presented back in January to the Public Art Committee, and then Lake has been working on his concept, and then we're here in June. After this meeting, if we receive approval from the Public Art Committee and staff, then he'll move forward with his final design and engineering, but the piece itself won't be installed until the building is near completion, which at this point we're anticipating April of 22, so we'll have to wait a little while. So it's my pleasure to turn it over to Lilikan J Deofus, our selected artist for the project, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his practice and then jump into his concept for the lake.
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So yeah, it's great to be here, and this is a really exciting project to work on. I moved around a lot as a kid, but my family on my mom's side is from DC, so I'm familiar with the area. And so it kind of brought up a lot of nostalgia for me. So if you go to the next slide, I will start with some relevant artwork, some past projects just to familiarize you with my practice. Next slide, please. So the most recent project, which is now open at Waterfront Park in Alexandria, Virginia, is called Rotnet Labors and Legacies. Next slide, please. And so this features 4 sculptural benches and a very colorful, as you can see, ground plane mural. And the idea behind this was to really look at the city of Alexandria and reflect its history, particularly its merchants, commercial industrial history, but also acknowledge the fact that it was home to the largest domestic slave trade in the US. And so these figures facing the water, they embody the kind of merchant and commercial history of Alexandria, the idea being that this is really one history, and if we can kind of address some of the realities, then it's sort of easier to acknowledge them and kind of move forward. The idea behind the ground plane mural is to really take after the African-American quilting textile tradition, particularly how it's used as a way of codifying ideas as well as storytelling and narrative. So these pieces really work together to kind of tell this unique and very specific shared history of Alexandria. Next slide, please. And so you see a little bit of detail here. These are 3/4 inch thick aluminum water jet cut pieces with these aluminum triangulated bench patterns. Next slide, please. And so this is just a really nice dusk view of that project. It has very subtle uplighting that illuminates the artwork at night. Next slide. All right, so this project was done a few years back in Durham, North Carolina. Next slide, please. And it is a building wrap on a series of banners on a parking garage, 4-story parking garage that spans one large block. And the concept behind this was it's part of a revitalization plan for downtown Durham. And it's supposed to sort of create this masthead that unifies 3 distinct districts: the American Tobacco District, which is a historical district, which is where we're standing while looking at this. Just beyond is the city center. So it's a site of like innovation and a lot of developments. And then beyond that is the Central Park, which is, you know, farmers markets, very family oriented. Next slide, please. So my approach with this was to look at the distinct architectural vernacular and kind of urban fixtures of each of these 3 zones, and then create very simple isometric illustrations that I could then move and shift around almost like puzzle pieces to create this really broad and expansive landscape mural that was very colorful and vibrant and really reflected the community of Durham. Next slide, please. As part of that process, I conducted several community engagements just to add more specificity to this project. I met with high school students, senior citizens group, as well as a Duke after-school arts program. And I just asked them a little bit more about the community. And so the seniors really let me know that Durham was very much involved in the civil rights movements, and a Durham local, Polly Murray, was you know, very much involved. Her family owned a brick making company. It was one of the first Black-owned brick making companies. So I was able to actually bring in their family brick pattern, which you see on the 3 banners on the left of the screen. The high school students and the after-school art students, you know, Durham is known as Bull City. And so I asked them how we could really reflect the bull without actually having a bull, because even in this area right here, there's 3 huge bull signs, right? And so they said that the hand horn sign was really a way to bring that back. So this was a way I kind of conducted you know, these community engagements where I was able to further specify things that would resonate with the community without sacrificing or changing the design, because of the sort of asset library I was working with. It was sort of really easy to bring these things in. Next slide, please. This project Protest was done in 2007. It was in Cleveland, Ohio. Next slide. And it was located in Public Square in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. And Public Square is a site that is known for being a space of city government sanctioned demonstration and protest. So this has been, I mean, all the way back to the Civil War, this has been a site where people could come and demonstrate against or for things that they had issues with. And so, you know, on through the Vietnam War, through most recently the March for Our Lives protests. So you see there 4 aluminum cut characters engaged in various forms of protest, some more assertive, like the woman yelling into the megaphone. The far right, you see a man handing out leaflets. And then at the far left, you see a kind of moment of reconciliation between 2 protesters. Next slide, please. So this is what it looks like on a typical day. Like I said, it's downtown. People come here just to sit and relax, eat their lunch before going back to work. Next slide, please. But during the protest, it was really exciting to see the work both be activated by the community really coming together to rally behind certain issues. And this was the Women's March here. And so you see, you know, the way it's also kind of creates a kind of marker, highly visible marker. Next slide, please. And so in this one, you see, this was for the March for Our Lives, and I think this really amplifies the protest. Next slide. So Inner Sanctum, and you can go to the next slide as well. So Inner Sanctum is kind of, I drew a bit from this project for 600 North Glebe. So there's a very colorful, vibrant stencil on the face of this window, and so at night, during the day, this is the view. You kind of really get a sense of the graphic imagery. Next slide, please. But at night, it is lit from the inside and it completely illuminates the sculpture that's hanging within. Next slide, please. So there's a little bit more of a detail of that sculpture. And so we can go to the next slide. So you can keep scrolling. All right, right here. So for 600 North Glebe, I really was looking at, again, you know, my background is in architecture and inspires my work, my public art. And so I was really looking at the kind of architectural vernacular, the minimalist, the modernist architecture of the immediate area, but also found this sort of very nostalgic imagery of the Boston Putt-Putt golf course. And I thought it really reflected back to a time of family and outdoor activity and engagement, and also multi-generational engagement. So I wanted to create a sort of fun, sort of fantastical recreation of a sort of mini golf course reflecting the architecture. Next slide. And so I was looking at two things, sort of vintage commercial signage, but also, as I mentioned, the sort of modernist architecture to really use that as a sort of template to make these interesting illustrations. Next slide. And so here are just some of the buildings that I was referencing: Kahn's Department Store, Temple United Methodist, and you see some examples of that architecture. The Seven Corners Shopping Center, Kenny's Shoes. So a very kind of vintage, both architectural and kind of iconic signage. Next slide. And so here, you know, that architecture is typically, you know, concrete and steel and drab, but I thought really punching it up with a lot of bright and vivid, colorful palette would really bring it to life. And then fill it with a series of scale figures at different scales, kind of just engaging in everyday sort of outdoor activity, as well as playing the sort of miniature golf. So it's operating at multiple scales and distances. Next slide. And so I've broken them up for each of the windows. So this would be one of the windows, and you can see more of that kind of colorful detail. Next slide. And then this would be the other window. So it'd kind of be continuous, but they would very much sort of stand on their own as specific artworks. Next slide. And so this would be then on the face. The next couple slides, I'll explain how the kind of installation works, but it's in a bit of a window box with a 6-inch depth. So on the face would be this sort of forest foliage, almost like you're peering through a kind of forest into a sort of open meadow. Next slide. And again, these are very, you know, specific local vegetation. Next slide. And so this is the location of the artwork on the building, as Mary mentioned. Next slide. And so here is how it works. It would be the very colorful graphic image will be on aluminum panels that will be at the back of the window box. And then the tree graphic would be on a laminated glass panel in the front. So it creates this almost, what is it, diorama effect. Next slide, please. So this is how you would see it in elevation. And then next slide. So this would be the daytime view. So there you really get a sense of kind of how it looks in the daytime. The trees are kind of, very colorful, have a bit of a kind of iridescent quality to them between the reflection of the glass, but also being, as I mentioned, peering through this opening into this very sort of colorful vignette. Next slide. And then at night, because it's illuminated from within, the trees then really kind of create this framing of this scene. So it really kind of glows, but again, it's framed by these trees. And next slide. And so, as mentioned, this explains, so this will explain some of the material. So this is alto aluminum. They have this sublimation process that really recreates the graphics very well on these aluminum panels. Next slide. And they're pre-mounted onto a frame that would then attach to the back of the window box. Next slide. And then finally, just maintenance, as I mentioned, is part of the objectives. This will be enclosed anyway, so there'll be very little wear and tear anyhow, but maintenance is just as simple as just wiping down the aluminum surface and clearing the sort of shadow box of any dust. And again, the graphic is laminated between the window panels. And there it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Lake. Mary, did you have anything else to add?
I do not.
Not here.
Sorry, I was muted. I did not. No.
Does anyone on the Public Art Committee have any questions?
This is Cameron. I just had two questions. The first was, is the artwork, you said it's kind of sandwiched or laminated, is that flush with the building, or do you see it kind of recessed from the brick? Was
the
that
glass
my first question?
Yes. So the aluminum panels, they sit 6 inches into the face of the building, and the glass, which has the tree elements, is flush with the face of the building, just like a normal window.
Okay. That makes sense. And then the other question I had was is that a singular graphic, or is it in panels with respect to like each window opening?
Yeah, so they are 4-foot panels, so they're 4 feet wide. So there would be roughly 6 panels per window.
Okay, thank you.
But they'd be flush hairline.
Thank you. Do any other PAC members have questions? Hearing none, I would take a motion to approve the public art concept.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call, and when I call your name, if you could just please say yay or nay. Cameron Aru.
Yay.
Carl Bedell.
Yay.
Susanna Hayworth Dunn. Susanna, can you just do a thumbs up or a, yep, okay, thank you. Cassie Hurley. Cassie, are you there? And we might have lost Cassie, but even without her, we do have a quorum.
She's still on. I can see her, and she's not muted. Oh, no, she just dropped.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. I can put her back. She. Go ahead, try it now.
Cassie, are you there? Okay, she got kicked off the call. She said yay.
She's on. I can, yeah.
Yeah, she sent me a text message, a yay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Elizabeth. With that, the motion passes. That also concludes the business of the Public Art Committee. Marcia, thank you for allowing us to take a part in the Arts Commission meeting now, and I hand it back to you. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for the rest of the Arts Commission to hang in there during this discussion. So we're going to turn to the main item on our agenda, which are the recommendations for the FY 2021 arts grants. And I'm going to turn the podium, the virtual podium, over to Carlos, who is the chair of the grants committee. As I do that, I just want to thank Ann Curley, Robert Gyron, Jordan Lewis, and Chris McConnell, who worked very hard with Carlos on the reading and review of the proposals, because I know this was not our normal year. And I thank you all for your efforts and your thoughtful and careful deliberations. Carlos? Oh, I just want to add one thing. I'm so sorry. Sharon noted this in the email, but there were no appeals, and there was no submitted public testimony on the grants, even though this meeting was noticed. So I just wanted to underscore that. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Marcia. And it is good to see all of you online. It's been a while. It was the great American playwright Edward Albee who said, sometimes you have to go a long distance out of the way in order to come back a short distance correctly. And without a doubt, those who have been supporting our efforts on the Grants Committee had to go a long distance in order to make all of what we have been able to accomplish a reality. But it was worth the destination. It's interesting that this particular meeting is going to be my last meeting with all of you, as I have, shall we say, retiring from the commission. And it's been a long journey in relation to the 6 years that I've served. And I started doing the math, and if I did the math correctly, I actually served on the Arts Committee for 4 years. And so I've seen the transition, the transformation, and that journey of being able to be at a place now that we've had great successes in being able to have, I think, a record, at least in the time that I've served, of the number of individuals that came to the workshops, that were interested in being able to apply, whether they be individuals or nonprofits. And so doing the math, I counted about 41 groups and individuals who came to the workshops that were interested. And so that's an enormous amount of people and organizations and groups that had an interest in being supported. And of that, at the end of the day, there were a total of 25 grant applications that were submitted, 21 from the nonprofits, and 4 were from individual artists. And of the ones that were submitted, they were all deemed as eligible. And if I remember correctly, one of the emails that I did receive from Sharon, this is the first time that we didn't have any issues with everyone getting things in on time in relation to that initial letter of intent. So that's great news. And I can tell you overall that in looking at the guidelines that we spent quite some time in reviewing and doing a few tweaks here and there, looking at the application process and the actual scoring sheets, it was quite a task, quite a journey. But the good thing is this, and this is sort of a generic, general comment, that overall the quality of the applications this year were much stronger. And I think that's reflective in the scoring. And this is the first time that I can recall in a while that every single one of the nonprofit groups actually was successful in being recommended for an award. And then there were 2 individual grants or artists that are being considered. And I was so excited because not only because of the number of people who were interested in groups, but also the diversity of the applicants. It was amazing. And I can tell you right now, at least from the individual artist grants, they are wonderful, wonderful projects. I'm really looking forward to it. And I also need to share that Sharon, doing her due diligence, did check in with the artists to make sure that even though we're living in this new reality, that the art projects can be accomplished, can be completed on time. So that's exciting for us. And the other thing that's an interesting coincidence, we move towards having funds that are for general operating for the arts groups. And it's interesting that this happened at a time when, in reality, the projects may not have been able to get finished on time. So sometimes, again, we had to go a long distance out of the way in order to come back a short distance correctly. So I hope that you all had a chance to look at the grant applications that I know Sharon submitted to all of you. I hope you had a chance to go through the scoring, but I would like to open it up to any questions you may have in relation to where we are, and then also then entertain a motion to submit the recommendation and to vote on that. So any questions?
You can unmute or you can raise, there's a raise hand feature as well.
Hey, Carlos. Hi, it's David. Just a quick question on the individual grants. Were they all from Arlington?
In order to be eligible, they all have to be Arlington-based residents. And that's true of the art groups, too. There have to be nonprofits based in Arlington.
Which means, David, they had to provide some sort of proof of residency in order to make it to the next round. All 4 provided the proper proof of residency that we required.
Very good.
Any other questions? Well, if there are no other questions, then I'll entertain a motion. A second?
I'll second.
Who was that?
It's Carl.
Oh, okay, thank you. So you're going to do the roll call then, Sharon?
I am.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
Okay. Sorry, that happened a lot faster than I anticipated, and I moved my paper. Marcia Semmel, Chair.
Aye.
Anika Quinana, Vice Chair.
Aye.
Carl Bedell.
Aye.
David Carlson.
Aye.
Lynn Coates.
Aye.
Ann Curley.
Aye.
Susanna Hayworth Dunn. And, oh, thank you. Robert Gyron.
Aye.
Jordan Lewis.
Aye.
Chris McConnell.
Aye.
Now, is that Chris? Is that a future commissioner that you have in your lap
It is,
there?
yes. This is a special guest. Nora McConnell.
Aye as well.
Tell her to get used to it and that she can chair the grants committee when she comes on board.
Okay, excellent.
Felicia McPhail.
Aye.
Sarah Robinson, have you joined?
I am here, yes, and aye. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And Carlos Velasquez.
Aye.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Right.
So I believe that was a unanimous vote of support. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Carlos and just convey our deep, deep appreciation, Carlos, for the years that you've devoted to the Arts Commission. and for sticking around. I know that your formal term ended at the end of May, but I'm glad you got a special dispensation to MC this part of the meeting, and we really look forward to staying in touch with you. And this happens to be my last meeting, as my term expired. It was actually extended, but it is expiring at the end of this month of June, at the end of this fiscal year. So I just want to I really wish we could all be together and raise our glasses to you. But I want to thank everybody here for your commitment, your service, your wise counsel during the 6 years that I've served on the commission. It's just been an honor and privilege to work with you. I really appreciate Cindy Richmond when she was our liaison, Michelle Isabel Stark for her work with us, and Sharon, your work. I believe that the workshop success that Carlos referred to is in no small measure due to you. And the outreach and the welcome hand and extraordinary patience and responsiveness that you've given to our arts group. So thank you so much. And, you know, all I can say is I've learned so much about our community, our artists and our arts organizations, and I hope to stay involved in some way, because I'm never going to stop being an advocate for our very diverse and wonderful arts and culture here in Arlington. So I couldn't be happier, I have to say, with the commission that I'm departing from, because I think we've got tremendous new talent, energy, and excitement and dedication in all of you, and especially in our next chair, Anika Quinana. I couldn't imagine handing over our gavel, our virtual gavel, to anybody better qualified to be the chair than Anika. As you know, she did such a wonderful job with the CAC committee last summer and fall, and she has just been a really important member of our community. So I want to thank you, Anika, for taking this on, and thank all of you for your service. And I think with you all in your respective seats, great things will keep happening. So thanks very, very much. And I guess is this where we have to adjourn? I don't know if anybody wants to say anything, or we can just adjourn the meeting.
I would love to say something, Marcia. Well, I don't know where to start. I think I'll start with Carlos. I also want to echo Marcia's sentiments, just thanking you for your years of committed service to the commission and your passion towards the grants program and leading the grants committee. We've seen that in person and now here virtually. Even how you started off your section is really inspiring to me personally. And so just all the work that you do throughout Arlington's community as well. I consider you a mentor from afar. And on that same vein, Marcia, definitely from day one, has been a mentor, and I know will continue to be, not only to me, but to us as commissioners, as we really stand on the shoulders and do the good work that she and other leaders of the commission and other commissioners have done in the past. I think it's such an interesting and challenging and overwhelming and exciting time to be in Arlington, in the arts, and in community. And I really look forward to working with all of you. Typically, if we were in person, we would break bread a little bit to say goodbye to, and we'd have a card or a small token, for both of you. But just really want to thank you. And I don't know that we, because of our restrictions, that everyone can sort of say anything, but I think I do speak on behalf because of the nature of this meeting for everyone, and just really, really thanking you both, and particularly thanking you, Marcia. You work tirelessly for the arts in Arlington, and as you've already indicated, you won't stop. And so we're going to hold you to that. We know that you do so much for the country in general with your larger work, but thank you so much for your commitment to Arlington.
Thank you. Thank you all. So I think with that, we can adjourn the meeting. I hope that starting in the next fiscal year, somehow we'll be able to be around a table sooner rather than later. Hope you all stay well and healthy, and thanks so much for your work. Sharon, thank you for.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marcia.
For work.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. That's how people wave now at the end of meetings.
Well, on YouTube, remember.